Supply and demand curve shifters.
So in this video, we'll be talking about supply and demand curve shifters, and the 9 factors that lead up to supply and demand shifting to the left and the right. So what is supply and demand? Supply is the amount of goods supplied by the market producers. Demand is the amount of goods requested / needed by the market consumers. Now, with these in mind, we can try to find equilibrium. And to find the supply curve, you first need to graph the quantity supplied versus the price of goods supplied. The demand curve is quantity versus what the consumer is willing to pay.
I will be discussing demand curve shifters. The first demand curve shifter is expectations of income. So if a buyer is expecting more of an income, the demand curve shifts right, because the people have they're more willing to pay for the product. Another demand curve shifter is income. So if they have a lower income, then they're probably going to be more down here. And if income decreases, then the demand curve is going to shift this way, because people will be less willing to buy for a higher price. Another demand curve shifter is the number of buyers. If more come into the market, then it shifts right. If buyers leave the market, though, it'll shift left. Another demand curve shifter, one of the last ones, is substitution. So let's say, that's why I'm not a wide receiver or play football. So let's say Snickers prices go way up, and that means people will turn to Milky Ways, so number of buyers will leave and shift it left. So let's talk about the next curve shifter and use the example of the fidget spinner market. This next curve shifter is the taste of the consumers. As time went on since 2017, the demand for fidget spinners has gone down, I would say. Stores are now giving them away free. So I guess this means that the demand curve for fidget spinners shifts all the way to the left.
There are a lot of things that can shift the supply curve. For instance, the number of sellers in the market and how competitive the market is. So if there are more people in the market, there is more competition, so the supply curve moves downward. But if there are less people in the market, prices can vary more, so it shifts up. The next thing that can change supply curve shifters are materials, how much materials there are in the market. For instance, if we had less peanuts or peanut prices went up, the cost of Snickers would go up, leading to less supply of Snickers, but there'd be more Milky Ways because they don't use Snickers peanuts. Another thing that can change supply curve is technology. The more advanced technology is, the less everything costs to make, and so prices go down, leading to more supply being available, because they don't have to spend as much time or money making it. It can change the supply curve is market expectations. If people that make the products think that there's going to be less people wanting to buy their things, they're not going to make it as much. Supply curve cannot be moved by the price, but it can move the equilibrium point. If price goes down, obviously equilibrium moves. Thanks for watching. So there are a lot of things that can shift the supply curve. For instance, the number of sellers. The more sellers there are in the market, and the more competitive the market is, the more the supply curve is this way, because there's more competition. Actually, just kidding. That's wrong. Just kidding. I think it's
Another demand curve shifter is the number of buyers.